to Tim Conley drums. At some point or another, as a musician, we've all wanted to become the rock star. And I can remember being very young, and being heavily influenced by music at a very, very early age. As a matter of fact, my students will ask me, were you gifted as a drummer and then were able to pick up drumming very, very quickly as a gifted young musician? And the truth is, no. I was not a gifted drummer. But what I was gifted at was the ability to actually listen to music at the age of 3. I was 3 years old when I'm wandering around my house and I can hear music virtually in every room upstairs because I have 4 sisters and a brother. And while my sister Mary didn't really live at home, they're all way older than me. My sister Mary didn't really live at home when I was young. I never lived with her very much at all because she left before, when I was very, very young. But my brother and my sisters would come, they'd come and go. They're also way older than me, but they would come and go. Anyways, I can remember wandering around upstairs, getting kicked out of my sister Shirley's room, getting kicked out of my sister Sharon's room, and then I settled in on my sister Brenda's room. God rest her soul. She passed away a year and a half ago. And she was listening to a song, and this song I really liked. And I can remember saying to her, "What are you listening to?" She said, "This is the Beatles' new song. It's called Hello, Goodbye. Can I sit in here and listen to it with you?" This is 3 years old. She said yes. And I would sit in my sister's room with her and we would listen to music together. That was my gift, so to speak, as a young person. The ability to patiently sit, actually listen to an entire song without acting stupid, dancing around necessarily, even though sometimes I would dance around. My sister and I would dance around. But I was able to actually listen and assimilate the music. So that started very, very young. So my ability to listen to music and take it in started early. And I was always able to listen to songs and figure parts out. So when I was in music school, that ability came in handy because we had to lift all the different parts. We had to lift the bass line, lift the piano part, lift the guitar part, of course, lift the drum part. All these things had to be lifted. For those of you that don't know what lifted means, it's you're listening to music and then you are writing it. Now, my ability to lift is actually on a very high level. I can listen to music and I can pretty much lift anything. Now, Dream Theater, I have attempted to lift some Dream Theater songs, just the drum parts. Very, very challenging. I'm able to do it, but it takes me a long time. Most times, if I listen to a song and I absolutely don't know it, and I'm going to lift a song from beginning to end and learn it, it usually takes me anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour on average. Depends on the structure of the song and whatnot. So right from day one, I had this ability to be patiently able to listen to music and figure parts out. I strongly encourage all musicians, no matter what instrument you play, to learn how to read music so that you can also develop this. This has helped me so much when I've had to sub in, even last minute, where I quickly write out the charts and bring the charts with me to the gig. And then people will say to me at the gig, how long have you been with the band? And I'd be like, well, this is actually my first gig with them. And they'd be like, what? We couldn't tell that it was your first gig. You looked like and sounded like you've been with the band for a long time and you're rehearsed. And I said, well, it's lifting. It's the ability to be able to listen to music and be able to write it all out and then read my charts. If you are familiar with the Nashville system, that's the quickest system for lifting. Now, I actually am not familiar with the Nashville system. I don't use it. I sort of developed my own system. I don't know what it's called. Tim Conley drum system, I guess. But I'm just able to listen to a song, very quickly lift it, and then I can read my own chart and play it. So it's really, really handy. Now, going back to what I said at the beginning, we all wanted to be rock stars when we were young. And for me, that started young, as I was saying. When I started playing drums at the age of 7 and then started taking lessons at 10, it wasn't until I was a young teenager that I said to my mom, this is what I want to do. Now, of course, that was met with, yes, you can do it for fun. You can do it as a hobby. You can do it with your friends on the weekend, whatever, but you're going to go to school and get a regular job. So the battle began at an early age with my mother about me pursuing music as a viable career versus, getting your 9 to 5 or your regular job, whatever that regular job may be. So the battle ensued. Now, all of us have that dream when we're young to become rock stars. Now, I realize I never became a rock star. I did pursue music as a career, and I've been relatively successful. Now, you're going to have your ups and downs. I had times where I was doing extremely well, making lots of money, in demand, whether it be, touring or studio work or gigging, tons and tons of just, regular shows. But at the same time, they were consistent. So the consistent money was coming in. Plus, I was getting known around the scene. That's a huge thing to surviving as a musician, is being known in the scene, known as someone that can play, that's reliable, that's not going to cause the band or the audience any grief with drama, that is reliable in the sense that they're going to show up clean and sober, and they're going to be able to cooperate with the band, whether it be in a situation where you're subbing, or whether it be in a situation where you show up in the studio and nobody actually knows you in the band. You get hired by a producer. The band doesn't know you, but the producer recommends you. So you've got something to live up to. So, like I said, I was never a rock star, but I've always been able to survive, make a living, and eventually get very, very well known in the scene and also well known in the teaching circuit. I have risen up quite well in the teaching circuit, and I'm very in demand for teaching. I specialize in certain things. I can teach all styles. I specialize in hand technique, and that's because I studied with Dom Famularo for 16 years. He taught me everything to do with the Buddy Rich push-pull, flagpole, snap, the free stroke, the molar stroke, the Billy Gladstone finger technique, you name it. I've learned all these techniques, and I brought them to a high level of my ability to play them and also my ability to teach them. So for those of you that are on the cusp about being a working musician, my honest advice is, don't quit your day job. It's a tough go. I started out young, and I never, ever gave up. I pursued every avenue I possibly could. I was constantly in the Toronto scene, the Hamilton scene, and everywhere in between, Niagara, all the way to the east part of Toronto, even further east towards, Kingston. I was trying to engulf myself in that entire Southern Ontario strip, all the way from Niagara to Kingston. That's a long, long, big area. But I have tried to get myself entrenched in that scene so that I could get a lot of work. Now, in some ways, it worked. It really did. I became well known and I got lots of work. But that doesn't mean that everybody is going to go that route. Now, like I said, I never became a star. I never got myself into a situation where I got lucky because a lot of it is luck. I got myself into a band where the band took off and became hugely famous. I was affiliated with bands that became hugely famous in the sense that I played in a lot of bands that opened for famous acts. I can remember opening for Blue Rodeo. I opened for the Tragically Hip in a band. I opened for Platinum Blonde. I opened for many, many different acts. I can't remember all the different acts that I've opened for. Bare Naked Ladies was a big one back in the 90s. I remember opening for them as well in the Queen Street scene, in the indie band scene on Queen Street. I can remember playing in a band, and we got the opportunity to open for them before they became famous. And took off. I never saw them again after they became famous and went on to, fame as musicians. But do you really need fame to survive in the music world? Sometimes fame can be very tragic. For all of you that follow music out there, how many musicians have died from drugs, alcohol, abusing their body, suicide, murder, you name it. I mean, some of the greatest musicians we have ever known have died young for stupid reasons. So I want you to think about something. Think about this. Let's take John Bonham, probably the most famous rock drummer of all time. Let me ask you this. I'm going to put a question to you, and think about this for any rock star. Amy Winehouse is another one that comes to mind. If they had never become famous, if they had never had all that pressure of fame, because with fame comes a ton of pressure, an amount of pressure that no one understands unless they're in that situation. I don't even understand it to the fullest level. I understand pressure from being a musician and performing, but not at the Michael Jackson, Amy Winehouse, John Bonham level, because those guys are absolute worldwide famous stars under intense pressure. So my question is, if they had not achieved that fame, would they still be alive? I believe the answer is yes, all of them. John Lennon, he would never have been murdered by that crazy idiot that gunned him down in New York in 1980. I'm a huge Beatle fan. I was devastated. Now, I would never have known who John was if he wasn't famous, obviously. None of us would have. But you know what? John would still be alive today. I think he'd be about 85 or 86, right around the same age as Paul, but he'd be alive. So my big question is the fame worth it? Is it better to just be a normal person and live a long, healthy life? Maybe not hugely successful with massive fame and massive wealth, but hey, you survived, you lived decently, and you live to a ripe old age. Now, I'm almost 60 years old. Like I said, I've not reached any massive fame by any means. I've had small levels of fame in the sense of being on tour with people that provided me with a decent living, but nobody knew who I was in most of the bands that I play in. I mean, I have to laugh though. I do get recognized from this YouTube channel. Canadian Tire, I've been recognized. I was recognized at a construction site, out camping, recognized. I mean, in different ways, there's a new form of fame, and it's the YouTube channel fame. I've been recognized quite a bit from my two YouTube channels, from Connolly Outdoors, which is my camping channel, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and of course from Tim Connolly Drums. Now, it's fun to be recognized. Hey, I'm subscribed to your channel, and they want a picture with you, and it is fun, I will admit. But I'm not in it for the fame or the glory. I'm just a guy that loves to play drums, loves to teach drums. I enjoy performance. I enjoy the dynamic of being in a band, and the your providing the music, when you look out to the crowd and everybody's dancing, everybody's smiling and happy and moving to you, that's the satisfaction, that's the joy, that's my drug. I don't need booze. I don't need any form of drugs. I like the high, being on stage, looking out and seeing that audience. Now, there's so many troubled. Mental illness is a big part of the music industry. And I think that the fame and the pressure of the fame, and also realizing that the music industry is a dirty and vile place, that a lot of people, young people that knew nothing about the industry, Kurt Cobain comes to mind. Kurt, he hated the fame. Of course, I'm sure he liked the money. Most people like to be, to be well off money wise. But with that fame and with that money comes a lot of problems. Everybody and his brother thinks that they know you. And if you're spotted anywhere, oh my God, it's Kurt Cobain. And they run over to him and stuff. He did not like that. I know Neil Peart is another one. He died, unfortunately, from illness. It had nothing to do with him abusing himself or killing himself or anything. He died from a brain cancer. But still, Neil avoided that venue in the sense that he did not like people coming up to him. Oh my God, it's Neil Peart. Oh my God, you're the greatest drummer ever. He never liked that. And a lot of people discover that they don't like it as well. And Kurt was another one. Did not like people approaching him. His private life, he felt infiltrated. And that's another thing. A lot of stars, they feel that their private life is no longer private. It's open up to the public. And unfortunately, that is a strong element of becoming famous. Now, for me, like I said, when I was young, I want to be a rock star. But as I grew and as I got older and I grew mentally and I grew as a musician, I realized that, hey, and me and thousands of other guys, I just want to make a living. I just want to make enough money to survive and do well. I don't want to be surviving, gig to gig. Oh no, I got to make $100 or I can't pay my mortgage. I was able to buy a house. I was able to buy vehicles. I have rental properties. I've done well, but just making a living without being a star. So I don't have to deal with the star pressures. I don't have to deal with crazy fans. Like I said, occasionally I get spotted, but it's fun because it doesn't happen that often. And when it does happen, then it becomes fun. But imagine being Michael Jackson or Elvis Presley, where you couldn't go anywhere. You were a slave to your home. If you walked out on the street and you got spotted, chaos would ensue. I can remember stories of Elvis having to rent entire movie theaters just for him to go out and watch a movie. He would buy every ticket in the theater, and then him and his entourage would go and watch a movie because he could not go out in the public because it was chaos. Oh my God, it's Elvis, and everybody would freak out. Same thing with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson would have malls shut down so that he could go and shop. I remember watching this one video of him shopping in a grocery store. The entire grocery store was shut down. He had his entourage also shopping and wandering around, but paying no attention to him. So all the people in the grocery store are associated with Michael, but they're in there shopping to give Michael the feeling of what it's like to actually be in a public place shopping and nobody's bothering you. So they were like his friends, but actors, in the sense that Michael's going through there, he's picking stuff out, he's shopping. They're also shopping, they're not bothering him, but they all know him. It's not the public. Michael could not go into a grocery store and shop like a normal person would, because as soon as he's spotted, and of course all these rock stars stand out, they try and disguise themselves sometimes, but as soon as they're spotted, it's game over. It's pandemonium, it's chaos. Now some people like that. Some stars like being spotted. They purposely and granularly, if that's a word, walk around, and they want everybody to know that they're a star and that they're around, and they love that attention. Now for me, I lean towards the Neil side of it. Like I said, I've never had that level of fame, of course, but I don't think I would have enjoyed. I'm a kind of a private person, and I like being able to wander around. I'm sure all of you too. You like to be able to go out and nobody bothers you. You know, you just do your thing, and you're not being accosted by the public. Now, when I took some lessons with Zorro, the drummer from Lenny Kravitz, he told me a story about Lenny, that him and Lenny were out eating lunch in California, and every couple minutes, if not sooner, somebody would come up. They'd recognize Lenny. Zorro said he never once got recognized. Who's this guy with Lenny Kravitz? Nobody knew. The drummer often, unless the drummer is the famous person, like Neil would get recognized, you know, Dave Grohl would get recognized, Ringo would get recognized, John Bonham would get recognized. But if you're not on that star level and you're just the drummer, nobody recognizes you. So Zorro was telling me that he was polite. He took pictures, he signed autographs, and we're talking dozens of people coming up while they're trying to eat lunch. And at one point, Zorro's like, man, I just want to eat lunch. These people won't leave us alone. But Lenny said, look, man, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these people. And Zorro said, Lenny straightened him out, that he understood where Lenny was coming from. Lenny appreciated his fans. He was loyal to them in the sense that he gave them what they wanted when they approached him. Now, not all of us can deal with that. I know myself, if you know, I would be polite to people and stuff, but inside you'd be going, oh my God, like Zorro, I just want to eat my lunch. But he said that Lenny never complained. Even when they were done and they left, he didn't go, oh, thank God that's done with. He appreciated the fans. He legitimately engaged with them. He didn't care about the fact that they were interrupting him or disturbing him or whatever. That didn't seem to bother him. Now, Lenny isn't in the category of, I have to have that. I'm Lenny Kravitz. I'm the great Lenny Kravitz. I want everyone to know that I'm here. He was actually sort of hiding himself. They were in a table somewhere hidden in the restaurant, but people were still spotting them. And when they would come over and say, you know, oh my God, it's Lenny Kravitz, or are you Lenny Kravitz, or whatever, Lenny would engage with them. Like I said, pictures, autographs. He would talk to them. Oh, I'm a huge fan of your music. Oh, thank you very much. You know, very polite. And Zorro was really impressed with how classy Lenny was. Now, I think that that's the best way to behave. I know that Keanu Reeves, nothing to do with music, but he's an actor. I know that he engages his public in a very polite and way that when you meet him, you come away with a good feeling. You know, a lot of times people have met their stars, or, you know, someone that's their hero, and they meet them, and then that person's not all what they are cracked up to be in the mind of the fan. The fan has this, you know, idealistic view of this person. Then they meet them and find out, oh man, they're not what I thought they were. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't meet your heroes, because I actually believe you should. I've met loads and loads of my heroes in the drumming world, and almost all of them have come through as being really awesome, fantastic, and people that you would want to meet and be around. You know, Neil Peart, if you watch my video about meeting Neil, he was awesome. If you watch my video about stars and should you actually meet your heroes, you can go and check that out too. I talk about, is it a good idea to meet your heroes? Now, I like I said, I think it's fine. You want to meet your heroes. You're taking a chance. Depends on who your hero is. If your hero is a drunken idiot and he's totally hammered when you meet him and he behaves like a drunken idiot, well, you know, you kind of knew that that's what you were up against because you know the reputation of that person. But anyways, in conclusion of this idea about, you know, wanting to be a rock star, I'd encourage you to pursue your musical goals. But this idea of becoming a star, I think it's overrated. It's overinflated. Just if you want to be a musician nowadays, keep your day job, and do it as a part-time thing. Still get paid, make some extra money, but pursuing music as a full-time gig, I can tell you from me doing it as a full-time gig, it's not easy. Like I said, I've established myself in the scene. I've established myself in the teaching world, studio world, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm almost 60 years old, and it took me a long time to establish myself in that scene, and I'm doing fine. But to start off at 20 years old now and try to become a full-time musician that's a star, it's really, really difficult. Now, YouTube has given us a new opportunity to become YouTube stars. Now, again, I'm not on YouTube to become a YouTube star. Like I said over and over here, I'm a broken record. I don't care about being a star. I'm just trying to make some money off YouTube as another avenue of income, another income stream for me to survive as a musician. Now, I enjoy getting in front of the camera here and telling you guys my story. I enjoy the comments. I want to thank all my new subscribers and my newest subscriber, Logan, my drum student, Logan, who told me yesterday when I was teaching him that he subscribed to my channel, and he's about, I think he's 9 years old, 9 or 10. And I want to thank you very much, Logan, for subscribing to my channel. And remember, we got a big tune we're going to work on next week. Big tune. So guys, I want to thank you. I hope that this video helped you out a little bit, understand about stardom versus making a living as a musician. I hope that I can enlighten you guys a little bit, stir up some conversation. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Do you really think being a star is the be-all, end-all, and that is the only goal? Or can you survive making a living as a musician without stardom? Because they both have their good and bad points of being a star, good and bad points, and of being a musician that's just making a living, good and bad points. Now, I just want to mention something to you guys. I have another YouTube channel. It's called Connolly Outdoors. I will put the link to that channel in my description. It's a camping channel. One of the things that I really, really love, my main hobby, is all types of camping. I love the outdoors. I love nature. I love the quiet, the peacefulness. I camp with my son. He has his own channel. I'll put a link to his channel as well. It's called Liam Connolly Outdoors. And the both of us go out and we film our camping adventures. Now, we camp year round. Our favorite camping is winter camping. We go out we're going to be out next weekend in -20 temperature in a tent. But it's a special kind of tent. It's a hot tent. It's designed to be out in the winter, in the cold. We have a stove that we use, and we pipe the stove out of the tent so that we stay warm inside the tent. And Liam and I, we absolutely love that form of camping. I know it's not for everybody. It's a very niche thing, but I'm 18 subscribers away from that channel being partially monetized. There's two levels of monetization on YouTube: partial monetization and full monetization. Partial monetization, you need 500 subscribers. I'm at 482, 18 away. Full monetization, I still got a long way to go for that channel. It's 1,000 subscribers. So I would ask you guys to do me a huge favor. Go and check out, I'll put it in the description, but please go and check out my Connolly Outdoors YouTube channel and subscribe and help me get to 500 and beyond. You know, my goal is to get fully monetized on that channel as well, because I'm out. I probably camp at least once a month, sometimes twice. But again, I'm a busy working musician. My son's busy at university. He's also a varsity swimmer. He's busy. So between our two schedules, we try to find time to get out and camp all over Ontario. We drive all over Ontario and camp. We're also going to be going to the States and doing some camping in the near future as well. So guys, please subscribe to this channel and my Connolly Outdoors camping channel. Thank you very much. And as always, keep drumming. See ya.